So hi there. I'll try to do a podcast like in English just to keep an update. It's very hot here summer in Montpellier, France. It's the hottest summer I think after decades. It's nice. But honestly, I don't know. I like the summer. I like the winter. I think I prefer the winter sometimes. It's very hot and it's the weather. At least it's nice, though if it was raining maybe it could be a little bit a little bit fresher than it is. But it rained a bit, not so much, and it's quite hot and I don't know if you say stuffy, and it's not very humid. It's nice for people who actually like going to the beaches, and I don't live close to. It's more like Montpellier. It's depends. You have several. You have a nice coastline. Depends where you go, and I live about like in the city center. Most at least not very close to the city center near, and it's probably if I would go to there to there's some several beaches, and there's probably about 15 kilometers, something like that. And well, that's just to give you an update about the environment here. And anyway, it's very hot. I'm not using my fan actually. I don't know. I'm trying to cope without a fan, all because it's electricity cost. And I think that's what I'm gonna say. It's unbelievable what's happening, because in talk this MSbP or FII, or there's FDBP. There are many acronyms or actually names for it, and I'm not be explaining all of them because I've spoken since the beginning of this channel and the series, and sometimes I may explain. But one thing that I learn new words that like gaslighting, that things that are come together. Like normally when you get like you have like a broken leg, you have to pay attention, or have a illness, you have to pay attention because things come together, and then it's more or less the same thing. Things come together. I think there is a term, word that I don't know if I know to pronounce. It's Malinger, and I would say Malinger by proxy, because I went to to check out the meaning. And another thing is that my stuff was there, and quote unquote naively I thought, okay, I don't need to worry about that. Even I will never pass hunger and stuff in my life. It's there, but that just shows how malicious they are, because they're being passing. Actually, they took the stuff for my grandfather. My own stuff is there. I have bike and stuff like it's a Caloi extra light cross. It's like from the 80s, a special edition. It's like golden painted. It's very, very rare, and it's quite expensive in the market. It's a collector's edition. I remember people just wanted, I I I received it as, I don't know, for when I was 10 years and to 15, that I got it. And I don't know if it was for birthday or Christmas, but nobody had this one. Okay, it was a kid. Thanks for that. But then I didn't use it a lot. I could use some adults used. I liked to, but it was very dangerous in a way. When going to school, the school was not very far. It was just like 1 block away. But a few times it was almost got robbed, and and it was a bit dangerous and threatened to steal. I almost got stolen, and people offered me money to buy it, and they didn't want to sell it. But later on, when I need to go to travel, and they were cutting everything, actually this person there and my sisters. And then I used to I'm gonna use this new term that there is in Portuguese. It's come from the Latin. um, it's come from Latin actually, Latin law and stuff, and they use it in French, and probably it's in English as well. It's called passing usefruct. They're passing things in usefruct to both of my sisters, and they have been doing that. It's difficult to prove because when it's like, let's say, can I call it like liquid, liquid patrimony or belongings? I don't know. Then it's difficult to. It's not as difficult. It's clear, But in the eyes of the law, in Brazilian law, then it's easier to hide. It's the same thing that they do. They tricks like with taxes, which I don't care because that's another thing. That's the state problem, and that's my problem. That they are doing that. That they basically kidnapped my stuff, and I thought, and they of course they influenced. And it's not that, of course, it's obviously they influenced because once I passed to my sisters, I just got destroyed at work for 6 months, and with the result like of that, I just get weaker. I have more difficult to hire lawyers there. I was asking for my stuff already. She just weakened me, and she can tell whatever she wants, like with her mother and her other sister and her drunk father. She never worked. As far as I know, was at 42 years old. She was studying psychology, but she changed for another course before, and she put pressure for me on to. I graduated already when I was 27 on communication science, and specialized like in journalism, if you can say that. So I just worked for 2.5 years in a magazine from 2004 to almost 2007, I guess, something like that. And I work with communication, like research, like in university. Like I almost for 8 years. I quit for once. I tried a startup. It was very harsh. Then I had both jobs. I worked in a magazine and in the university, and I was doing law, and probably would graduate very quick in law if they just dumped medicines on me that just almost destroyed my life. I basically have like I don't know. It's just like obliterated my memory from that time, and just like I don't have memory. So much medicines they put on me, and I saw it. I noticed that it was killing me, and she was having pleasure. That lady. She was having pleasure. She was enjoying. She was enjoying. Because otherwise she was just creating problems, attacking, and causing problems because she just give orders. She doesn't do anything. She's not a householder. It's different for people who claim the rights of householding. I understand that. I do my stuff. I clean my stuff. I wash my clothes. I don't have like wash machine. I don't have like dishwash machine. I do everything on hand. I know stuff. So if someone has to take care, but she had a babysitter. She had a cooker, a woman to do a deep cleaning, a woman just to chat with her, gardeners, and just like it's just still, if you see Harold and Maude in films and movies like that, or like Water for Chocolate, which the woman, the daughter, her youngest daughter is the victim. That's not actually an Munchausen syndrome by proxy case. That's the cultural stuff, but you can see how horrible. You can have an idea. You can you, you can have the picture. You can picture it out, how it works. But then that's what I refer when I say blackmailing. They say now, it's just like she wants to control things, like speak to her or die, while they hold my stuff, and they hold so much stuff that they probably would be able to buy an apartment here. Even had spoken to that to my father before. I'd probably be able to buy an apartment, finance a house here. I wouldn't have to work with job or no job, not. But even with my job, I would have like there was a minimal wages. I was not worried to ask aids from the government because of that. And then when I saw they are just blackmailing on this sense, so it needs to be clear, and they don't care if I lose all my money, if I have sleepless night, sometimes with misery, sometimes with like being like, I don't even like to say like homeless, and an intelligent guy with like myself, if you just start to get sclerosis just because of out of malnutrition. I don't have any diseases, how they push you psychologically. So that's psychological harassment, and that's actually, it's worse than that's a crime. People were suited for that in America, in United Kingdom, in England. They don't stop. I read many articles. They don't stop when you're a child. So they keep, a person like that will keep all their life, and they put things in, they try to persuade the doctors around them, and even beyond. If people don't know, they try to persuade, oh, he has a disease. I saw a counter movement, but it was about a group of 14 people in a social networks, nothing, because there was two or three groups of like about 400, 500 people. But it's probably, if my mother is would be one of them, because he would say, I'll try to prove my your son or your daughter have a disease. It's weird because it's just calling the center here of that gave me, like, they validated my degrees, like, and my studies in law. It's called the Nick. It's in Paris. And actually, after I lost my job, I just took the trouble to send to them, to for them to analyze. It's quite serious. It's like calling them idiots, And my sister, who never graduated and keep doing like conclusions there, and she calling here the, I don't know how it's called, the driving department who give you the license. Anyway, the town hall, and actually it's bigger than town hall because the whole region that give you the drive license, you have to pass the code, you have to do like classes to pass the code, and then you have to pass a practical test. And this practical test is quite tough, I would say, because I heard it's quite tough. And I was in a school, in a driving school, and I was taking lessons, sort of not together, but was taking lessons. There was a girl before and after me, and sometimes the driving instructor just talked to both of us and this kind of stuff. And we went to do the practical test together that day. I remember it was scheduled for, because we were less more same level, though she had to do like 20 classes because I think it was obliged, and I managed to ask to do only 8 because I already had a full license in Brazil, and in England I could drive for in United Kingdom for the first year with that license, and then I would have to do like, I don't know, to renew it, or a dual license there, or just to have what they call a provisional license and drive with someone who has a full license, which was convenient to me because I never thought about buying a car in London. I did some classes there once. I was thinking maybe if I go just to go out of London, but not there. The transport there is very good, and you just not want to don't want. I never had to never. I always try to live at least close to my job, not inside the job as I lived the first year, because you go crazy if you just like living this in the staff house. It's just across the garden, and you open the door and there's already customers over there. It's nice because you say hi, but it's just like, just don't do that. Like I learned the hard lesson. Just if you live one block away, you don't need to cross the city, because some people get tired and have to do like many changeovers. But anyway, yeah, the transport is very good, so you don't need to, like, you could buy for just going around, around, or if you want to go for a holiday or something like that, then would not be expensive. I thought some people said, "Oh, you should buy a car," but I know many people who bought cars, and sometimes they are not brand new, and they had problems like with all the times, having problems and expenses. so that was not like a big deal for me. But when I came here, actually, the guy actually here in the responsible, one of the guys that I had made already the tests, he's told me that I didn't even have to do those, because with my drive license I would have just to pass the code or something like that. But anyway, I was not obliged to do the 20 hours. I did 8, which was already expensive because it was 50, about 40 euros per hour, but I would say it was 50 normally. But where I lived was sort of sharing room, and the lady who rented the room was for 4 months and then 6 months, and it was her husband who had like a school, like a driver license school sort of. There are many here, and it was an acquaintance, and he did like a good price. And there was another person from another school. He wanted me to do like, I don't know, 30 hours. He said, I don't know how to drive, but that's a scam. I said, look, you're kidding. I was a bit nervous when I started, of course, because it just like first time we're driving, just give me some time. He was putting pressure, and I just like learning the language, just like slow. Okay, driving is the same everywhere. And just when he said you need more than 25 hours to learn it, well, I know how to drive. And he was asking things, he was so stressed. And I could see him it's just to scam. And I spoke to this guy, and 8 hours was quite expensive. It was almost, let's say, 400 euros, but it was a lot better than doing 20 hours that we spent almost 1,000 euros. And that's I sorted everything myself. It's called the guy from how do you say, from custom services, and here the guys actually uh, and who the police is stupid, because I came to France like at least I think 4 times. There's because I traveled. I came from England. I went to Calais, and they have everything registered. Every record. They're not stupid at all. That's a compliment I'm doing, because they're not stupid. And then I went through to Spain and then to Portugal, and I came back, and then there was a check-in in the bus. When I came, there was a check-in over there. When you crossed by the ferry, then I went to Italy. And when I came back from Italy, there was no check, because I took a workers bus. It was sort of an accident, or just by chance, or not by chance, just was like by hazard, something like that. They stopped in the thing, but they didn't actually. No one came, as far as I remember, because I was so tired as well, and I slept. Though it was beautiful, it was in the Alps. That's beautiful landscape. Then I came directly. I decided to come to Montpellier. That's the city I visited before when I was going to Italy, and I loved here. I love here actually. And I don't know. I never saw my father never go to his birth city, or to his where he came from, and he just you fight for things. You fight to have your contract, and just if you give away, it's just like it doesn't fit. It doesn't match. It's just like cutting everything. I was obliged to cut things before, but I was not worried. I thought but they influenced people here. They don't stop influenced, and they do the opposite way. They influence there. They say, oh, he lost his job because he deserved it. And because in their minds, people actually they don't not gonna check the registers. They took all his parents called, and his sisters and whoever. And then you are in the middle of crossfire. That's what you call fake news. That's then to defend yourself. If you stay quiet, then you have no defense. You have to I have to think how my manager thought, because if my father calls, I'm a big doctor, but he's like, sorry, he's a pig. He's an old pig. You can see by the messages on my social networks or Instagram, because Instagram just have pictures from tourism. I don't want to mix it up there. I think the network's not for that. But on the other ones, you have here I put so many times, and when you have like I've done the Dr. Illness series, I think it's just with his picture, and I stopped. And there's well, I try to do some humor out of it, but I don't feel like too much sometimes. I'm doing like some things I trying to be like in a good humor, but it's just like feeling like in a bubble because it's just not the way it's not happening, you know. It's just like pretending something. But I put one of the messages he sent 2 months after I was fired. It's just like, you don't send this kind of message to your son. You can send it. There is context for things, you know. Whoever, if there is something that it happens often, or it's it's a habit. It's like something usual between you and your son, your family, or whatever. If it's allowed, I don't care about it. It was not between me and him. And he's saying at 76 years old, he was serious. He was busy, and just like doing this blackmailing for me to speak to his wife. It's just a clear, it's so clear my sister's taking advantage. So that's called passing in usufruct to my sister's things. One who called lawyer I know, cause he quit and he came back, and he's sort of a friend, and it's difficult to do because in the city said Lord Hurton is they're doing passing everything in usufruct to your sister. So I had to work on my life, on my things, and that's what's calling people here is stupid. But my manager, she just thought, okay, I got a call from him. Just like maybe, you know, Horton was in the hospital when he was a kid. He did bad things. This is just like, I just want to get rid of him. And in her mind, she just plays that, and she just like do something stupid because she could give me an advertise. Oh, you closed the shop before, you know, for 40, 30 minutes before on a Saturday and Sunday. And she's just the third time I told you. And she would put the break time, she would put the name of my colleague, nothing. It's the letter is just dismissal letter is ridiculous. But I stayed in silence because of my father was doing that, was threatening, don't go to justice, was passing this kind of message, was quite feeling totally isolated and afraid because there were threats. And now I'm not fear. I fear more stagnation there than fear threats. Though it always I have to be with your eyes open, because if I say there is no threats, then they say, oh, okay, that's fine. And something's gonna happen. Nothing has nothing to do. No, I keep people aware that there are some people interested there. Mainly they in Brazil, and I search like a deal here, but I don't know how. I hope the lady who received me from the, let's say, the job seekers agents here, which sort of job seekers, which they have in England, I'm not sure in the States. This time is the first time I saw her live, because I spoke to her by phone. I'm trying to re-improve my French because it's very good, but she was very understanding, because there was the lockdown and stuff, and she understood the situation that it's just not turning the page. I cannot can get over something that it's too cruel, you know. It's just I shouldn't be in the job seekers agency. I shouldn't be annoying her, and I think she understood, and hopefully I'll do like I'll be accompanied. I think starts on August on the 17th, something like that. And for some, they have a program. Even it's a program that's general. It's not for me. It's for people who actually suffered with like with all this lockdown and war and things. But she understands my situation, that I shouldn't be there. I'm very capable. I speak languages. I was doing like I did something about history, and I was just reading an article. I like maps. I like do many things, but at the time I need like a redemption. I think there's another word. You need some healing about that, because just like I know how to turn the page and just to get over things. Like when I quit England, but there was no humiliation there. There was like sort of, there was how do you say? It was already like after some time you just get like some. It's just not. It's not wasting the word. It's just like is spoiling as well. It just it's not coming the word to me. It's gonna come in a second. It's just like wearing you out. There is a wearing out after like 5 years in a company. It depends on the case. It was not the case. Here I could work uh, 10 years, but the industry was there in England. It was tiring. I was willing to quit the jobs, and that was in the age for it. It was 36 going to 37. Then you can you have other things in mind to my career. I speak English very well. That's another thing. They try to do these things, and I haven't been practicing my English. It just coming as it comes. French, because French is the third language. Is third with Spanish, because I'm not practicing Spanish. So let's say the third language I learned, and I was older, and I have to count on that. It was like when I started to learn, it was basically 37, and it's a lot difficult the more older you are to learn everything, because when you're a kid you learn to play foot, to skateboard. Depends if there are difficult stuff like chemistry or things like that, mathematics. It's better, I think, if you're an adult. You can get some kids are they are gifted, but you can get more serious about that, and like biology, and when your brain is already fully developed. Depends on what I like to study these things, and I used to like, but you were obliged when I was at school, and then at high school, and then I think it was too much, and everything has like its physiological age and biological age, and um, I was a bit late, like to my friends, like in puberty and that kind of stuff. But that was not a big deal, There are different times, and then you are studying all that stuff. Even English, I had to study. Oh, I was obliged, and then because it is weird, things are weird. I was obliged to learn German from first grade to fourth grade in elementary school, not because they were Nazis. They didn't go there. They didn't actually. They went more to Bariloche in Argentina. There were, I think, before it was in the 19th century. German people went there from out of poverty, and to settle as well, try to settle a colony. So where I come from, there are many Germans that they trace back to the 18th century. So that there are many like museums. Then so that's before the war. My city, one that I grew up is, though it's tough city, is one of the oldest. They are in South Brazil, so it was obliged, because sometimes it was weirdly. I just heard like I was in a neighbor, and that is just like I just heard people speaking German. They didn't actually speak like good Portuguese, or didn't speak Portuguese at all. Some of them, they're linked to religion stuff, to theological. There's a university, there's theology faculty. Apparently, it was good. So people just travel to there, and there's students, and you could hear them talk. And there's some people in my school that spoke Portuguese like funny accent, so we cannot mock at all, because I know how it is. And even if they are kids, sometimes I went to their houses to have lunch with them, to their families, and they pray in their language in German and that kind of stuff. And then of course English is we are a lot influenced there in Brazil by, especially more I would say by music as well, by the culture, but more by the American culture. The English we learn, it's the American, the movies and all that kind of stuff. Then from music sides as well, but that's massive influence. Then you learn English, because it can be good. You could learn Spanish. In Spanish normally, but my school didn't have it. It's recommended. They wanted to do sort of like the equivalent of the European Union, the Mercosur, but it never really worked there. I don't know if it worked. I don't know if the European Union, some question if it works. That's another a matter for another discussion. I wouldn't be radical about of that. Just like I wish it works. I think it has some good things and some things, unfortunately, they don't work. But the idea, the intention is good. There is sort of some treat some deals. I'm not really aware. It's a long time I quit. But not this. Not like here. There is the same currency. I know there was the Brexit. I don't I don't get much into it because there are different interests in that, and I'm sure if I'd like to go back to England, to whatever, to United Kingdom, I would be well received because everything was clear. And after my first year here, actually I came back to England because I was actually had a bit like a pinch of doubt. What if it was like 10 months, if I should just move, to the countryside. There is a city that I loved that I visited in the beginning when my sister rented a car with her boyfriend, and I just went with him in a trip. It was quite rough, because relationships were never good, was never good with her, and I wanted to actually. I asked even I wanted to drive the car, and she said yes, and then she said no, and then I just had to obey orders. All it's just like it's more like it's just like a torture than a trip. But I love the city of the Bath. They I don't know where they went because they left me there, and just like I went to the hostel. There is a couple of hostels there. It was one very okay. It was nice, and the city was very nice. It's in Somerset. It's lovely, though it's very small. It looks like Montpellier, but it's smaller. Then I went back in 2013. It was in March. I stayed 1 week in London with like a Portuguese friend. She used to work with me. She has a son. He's big, but it's quite friendly, and she had a room, in her apartment because it's difficult to find, and it was just like not staying there for many times otherwise. So it's just like she was just being kind. You'd pay rent, I would come back, and I would have to find jobs and a place to live. It was not, it's just like I was just passing by. Probably I would stay, probably could stay a month, but I said, look, I want to go 2 months to Bath and to see how it goes. And I think my appointment with exactly with my advisor there, job seekers, it was cancelled in the last minute. He called in sick, and he was quite nice guy. It seemed, cause I just spoke to him by phone, and then the thing is they had to transfer the date, and then I had like sort of I was looking for rooms. I was not finding. I went to the university, and I was finding like to live. My impression, it snowed there, it's beautiful, but it was very cold, and it was if I thought it was too small, I just had the London feeling, and I missed here where it was. It's just not that here. It's hot and summer, and it's just like tropical. No, you have a very tough winter. It can be quite rainy, but I just felt I had to go for something different, and it's different. It's bigger here. It looks more like, I don't know if the time when I went there in Bath there was not many people, because here there is this thing as well. Depends on the season, you get more. But as I've been here to 10 years, it seemed the city like it used to inflate and deflate more, like the um, in the first years that I came, like the population, either with like their students or tourists, you just have this feeling that you have more. And sometimes the season, because here you have like massive events like the Fizzy, which like exports games, and and you can get loads of people sometimes in. But when it's sort of empty, it's not that empty. And Bafti it looked like it was empty. Not empty, it was a nice place. I like calm place. But I checked this out for some jobs, but the best thing there was like already in the mood that I should go for something better, not to get like any job. So that I was like to do a career plan with the job seekers. But when the date was transferred, I just said, okay, that's just like, if I was already willing coming to here, it was a sign for me that it's just like, I just canceled it. I went back to London. I stayed 1 week there, just like, all this, have to deal with this bank stuff. And I left my camera, which a colleague from Italy, she sent it back now. And that's, for me, it's just like, turns things even more, quote, horrible, because it's a colleague. Don't know if I can call her a friend. I think so, but she's not obliged to send this camera. She could disappear with the camera, and she sent it to me. And my family is holding my pictures that they could scan it. It's not an excuse. I taught my father to use computers. My sisters, like I said, I don't know. She's 43 now. She's on the 23rd September. She's gonna be 44. And she could scan. They could scan. There's my twin sister playing the cards with me. It's just like lying. And then I have to ask my own stuff, like my books and my vinyls and my CDs and things that then okay, then they are gonna send me socks and bed sheets. I don't need socks, actually. I'm running away of socks. It's a word, but I'm worried for the winter. And if I have to choose for something nice and to go for, I have some that I keep apart, like to keep brand new if I have. But I not even think to go. I'm not with the mindset of going for job interviews. I like to do my own business, maybe, but independent of, it's a very good job interview. If you call me tomorrow, Harton, I need someone like you. I like you. I need someone who speaks French, who speaks Spanish, and or who speaks French and English and Portuguese. And I heard your story. I would be, flattered. I say I would be glad. I like to collaborate, and and even if I'm doing if I had the means to do my own company, if this works, I have to sort out what happened there. And because if these people, if someone is figured out there, I would say the first thing is that everything's right, because I think there is it's a virtuous of so vicious cycle. There's a cycle, is a positive or negative. Either what happens in your personal life affects your jobs, and what happens in your job affects your personal life. And then you have to try to keep both of this part of the chains, well, or you can have problems. Sometimes it's better if at least you keep one of them. But I need to be honest, I cannot say just that. No, it's like things you talk about. You talk about work, and you talk about work. Then I learned this many times, a long time ago. I learned this in Brazil. I learned this. I remember when I started in new industry in England. The manager said once, and he was right. I knew that lesson. Doesn't matter. I think I had a bad day, and he said, not to me, but to everyone. Like, here, I don't care. Sometimes it's just a theater, Just think like that. You just can, like, people sometimes are having a shit life, but they just here you need to play a role. It's customer service, so because people who are go there, they don't care. I know about that. Though, so some customers like to talk about their life, so you have to listen them while, if you have time, because it depends on work. You have to how to play sort of it. Because then I learned, I have to say that I excel on it, and I'm very good with that. There is no accusations from her about customers things and stuff. And it's just like she if she has a staff, she had a staff like 7 people. One, it's myself. Then she has a son and a daughter that work there. That makes already, it is living. There's 4 left, and one is friends of his son, that or of her son and her daughter, mostly her son, but basically affects both. Then you get already, 3 people out of the staff, and then it is with me. There's another 3. It's not difficult to get them, like, to make their, their mindset. But I used to defend myself quite well because that would this argument putting every one against one would turn against them. But the what's the what was the what tipped the balance, what was the turning point is my sister. I've passed the context to her in order for her just to stop this guy saying you're my past, your past is dead, your past is dead, and just say please. And she's called I don't even tell her name. And they just say, look, I just want this to stop. I'm just giving the funds for my work. And he threatened me once, just once. After she got the funds, I was threatened many times, like 4 times at least. And he had broken my car and passed her, and I was massacred. And then she says, oh, my brother is sick, my brother is ill. And she never graduates. As far as I know, she doesn't even tell me. She's gonna be 44, never worked. She doesn't have a pay slip in her life, as far as I know. And then it's just like a scam, it's just like theft. And people went when there was no jail about that, then you can have this crime which happened to G Rose. I think there is a series. There's a couple of series in HBO and other stuff that I haven't watched. I need to check out for it. Sometimes I'm tired because I think I have enough material. But in that way, they didn't listen. The girl was saying, I think she was about 18, 19, 20. She was over, she was an adult already. And she was saying, stop, please, my mother is ruining my life. Because that way she couldn't find any friends, couldn't find any. She's not her mother's nurse, and her mother was lying that she had diseases and that this kind of stuff. It ended up in a tragedy, and I understand the girl's anger. I spoke in a group. Some of them they share the same opinion, some of them not. But when I checked out, there's many videos made about that, and you check out the commentaries, the comments, and then you can see people are quite, how to say, they support her because she did something that sort of ruined her life. I don't know, because she got 10 years, I think, sentenced. She was 18, 19, and then she had her 10 sentence diminished. It's not that's not encouraging people to doing a crime, but the thing is that authorities recognize there, because there are doctors. They saying, look, what's the girl's medical history, and the girls were she was asking for help. They stop it, and I say this, and they're just trying not to be affected, but it doesn't matter if I'll be 47, but you can read in articles, they are trying to make you vulnerable. That's what's like, it's a sort of an infanticide mentality. And I have both sisters who are receiving everything like passing in Usefruct. I'm gonna be using a lot this expression now. So they are getting away, just if I lose my apartment, if the government here doesn't help me, I would like my manager to recognize things. That's very important. It's morally, psychologically. People, you were not, no. They scam you, and then they try to treat you like they try to blame you. Still, if you complain, it's just like no. You can do like that with other people or in other people, but not that way, just. And then I see where is the origin, because my manager could have done these things that she has done, like for 6 months, and then forge, and then just fake and make it up before. And then, of course, she had the support, and she was endorsed by this cult family that profited, and they are profiting. My sister, let's say, their work, these sisters, they work. This sister, she works for her mother. My mother mistreated my niece, which is my sister's daughter. She doesn't care because she works for her. She gets like you can see like a life in luxury. So it's a sick, ill, dysfunctional, and then you're gonna treat yourself as no. I need support just for people to be God. I need forensic psychiatrists, psychologists, but forensic, as I say, to act together with like lawyers, with prosecutors. It's a criminal law, so there is prosecutors, like, I don't know, because in England there are different names. There are barristers, and here in French. So even if I did it 2 years and a half and it's validated here in France, I'm not gonna know the names exactly, but we connect together to have my stuff back, to have a compensation, to have like even if all the things that they done like damages and all that stuff that come together, damage and interests, and that stuff that they stole to me, and that psychologically doing things they are doing, like, oh, you work now, you find work as a cleaner, and then your sister doesn't do anything, then you have a problem if you don't find. Then you keep working there, you keep working, you don't even have time to breathe, and then, oh, you fell in misery, you don't have anything to eat, you are running out of, you will have malnutrition, you don't have clothes, also you are sick, now come and eat your mama's your mama's like food, and it's not coming the word to me, it's just like the her just like if she was doing me a favor, just like, oh, now like suck her breasts, just like she wants, like her head, she's sick, and then like, I owe you something. No, they owe me, and it's just my father, when he was 40, my grandmother was alive, my mother killed her, that she killed her mother-in-law, I think we say like that, and with a lie, and but he could he had already received his inheritance from my grandfather, from his grandfather, and even if he's a doctor, and I was waiting, I was quiet, and I just like doing my work, and I'm not gonna go into Brazil. I depend here on a contract that depends on a fixed contract, on work fixed contract, and my studio, which is 40 meters squares, it's just, I read something that I know how I keep my mind in place, like in a hamster's cage, because with my work I have to go, and the work speak like 8 hours, and I'm in the place that I say that it's decent, so much that I would like to go there because there is cameras. Show the cameras, just open the registers, the paperwork, you have like the logs from computer, have the digital stuff, you have the you have all the paperwork, the tickets, and the show, just open that stuff, open from the 4 years, it shows how what was the timing, because it was that's ridiculous, just ridiculous, because for someone like me, that even though I hadn't had this last disappointment, the last one, I was already again, 30-40 minutes earlier, as always. And if I start to work, just like first times, I'll be very early, very early. But normally I arrive, I start to work like 10 minutes before, my job. It's just like the briefing. I don't even care if it's paid or not. It's just makes me feel well. Except some situations, like this colleague that he always was almost late, was only on exact on time, and he ended up being late. Then I had a deal with my manager that I would do the same for him on Saturdays. That he did this that to everyone. He just like delayed my work, and then it's just like it's not gonna do a favor, but for other people, for I don't even care. I write 5-10 minutes. I put my tune on, and it is for even for her to for her son and for her daughter, for her. And on Fridays she would quit. She's an employee as well. She would quit like on Friday, every Friday, like normally on midday, not every, but 90% should do like what we say here, like a big weekend. I don't care, just, but then you just get fired because you close the shop on a Saturday. Then there's 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then if you do like the maths, and then just like it's 30 minutes obliged. If I say I don't want to take a break, I'm obliged. One of the toughest managers I had here, once I told her, look, I just want to do a 20 minutes break or no break at all. If you are stressed, I'm gonna help you. She said, no, you have to do your break, you're obliged. Otherwise you can have trouble with law. And then you deduct that from, that's 10-15 minutes. There's cigarette times, there's toilets time. It's just ridiculous, and my family supports that. There's no not a single message saying sorry, Ayrton, that happened that to you. I'm gonna write to them, I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna call the embassy. No, they were happy, they are behind it.
This just they weakened me, and that's my mother's dream. That my father got sick like with her. He caught in alcohol as well. I'd like to hear an interview from him. And then you have these both sisters that are profiting from this stuff. And I have to be brave. I have to keep my mindset here and say maybe nobody's listening. And I was advertising when I was publishing things, but now I'm just seeing what people, who, because I can advertise and then send, don't know, some people to in WhatsApp and just see people who comes and see, not advertising a lot. It's just for me because it makes me improvement. Otherwise, it's just gonna make a if I send to people, they open it, either they like it or they don't like it. If they don't like it, then they just gives me like can give me a fake feedback, not a bad feedback, but sort of a bubble. Like if it's they are not liking because just I'm sending a link. If they're coming back to watch it and saying things, it's because there are some people. There are two, three, four, five people that are interested, and like I said, I need to brush up my French, and the important thing is that I keep doing something. So I'm studying all day, but sometimes you keep tired and have to talk, and I'm not gonna be talking to one or two or three friends of my trust like every day or getting out, and like my advisor, she understood that, and I need a healing about that. If people got very wrong idea, I would like to walk in back to my work tomorrow. So I don't want to hear like things. Oh, he doesn't want to work. He just no. It's the opposite. I would never like. I have I need government aids now just because I was refusing 10 months that I don't receive anything. Even before you have like benefits, you have tax benefits sort of here. They call it another name, but I never asked actually because I was never worried, but now I need it. I was like, it was on a job insurance, but even so, it's not gonna help me to have a social life. Just if I can, you can think about it. It's not myself, it's not my mind. I can think about the most beautiful things. There are birds out there I can see sometimes flying. You can probably can listen, and there are loads of insects by this time of the year. So yes, you can think about the nice part of life, see the bright side of life. I see that. I buy my stuff, but when I go to sleep, I cannot avoid the nightmares. They are linked. If you study that, because this is troubling me. I'm under defamation. I cannot live in a bubble. Oh, how this everything's fine. No, they cut me my wages. They cut me my social life. Your social life depends on your work. So if you say no, I don't have a job, it looks like it was your fault, and just like looks my sister, she's like, and then I have to do like an struggle like the opposite. You just have to do a reaction. And for more, if I want to ignore that, just like, oh, it's just everything is just like that's their play. They just steal me. They just like they pass everything in Usefruct, and they get everything. They conspired to take my job. They are gonna deny it, of course. If they know my father can lose his degree, his doctor's degrees. My mother can go to jail. That's risky for them, and for my manager is risky as well. But I think she's smarter and she's a better human being. She did something horrible, but as I know her, for more that I know the worst of her and the best of her, and she probably should know me, but there needs someone to do like the link between us, and she needs some sort of pressure. Otherwise, she's just gonna wash her hands. Just slightly pressure, and there would be possible to have a comeback there. In Brazil, it's impossible. There is gonna be violence. There is gonna be finished very, and always, and I have it's not dreams, nightmares. I'm sad there. They ruined me. There was a girl that I liked here, but there were friends. There were more people that I liked here that I just got cut when I got my job cut. My manager says whatever she wants, and uh, my family, they say whatever they want, and I got like, and I say I think I sorry. I always put like for like, don't put it for a child, like an audience, but like in a posting, like I can say I think in a crab sandwich. They use another word in English, but it was just smashed
the two parts. And if I say, they just say, look like he goes like there, okay, he's whistling. No, I'm not whistling. I go to the supermarket. It's just I try to see the good things, but I just come back and where is my wages? Where is, why should I accept? Why should I now? I start to make CVs and do things. Okay, never worked. It was my fault. If it wasn't, there is some, it's just like some people say to me, oh, you have to admit when you're fault. Oh, it's fine. If I do a mistake, if there's someone go there, if I do a mistake, I owe you something, it's my fault. I'm the first to want to say I always did that. But if it's the other one's fault, that's, that is a rhetoric, then the other ones makes something to you, then they have to come back and then they have to pay for it. It's just like when you is everything in life like that. It's just from a car accident for everything. And if I'm working at you and I do a mistake and I give 10 euros, like I don't give 10 euros, and then the person is gonna complain. It's gonna stay there for 2 hours, whatever, until it's fixed. And the same thing there, I just lost like the 30 hours, not the minimum wages, a bit less than the minimum wages here, but it's a huge amount. And then, oh, okay, that's fine. It's just my fault, and I'm just gonna turn the page, and I feel it because I'm gonna meet new people. I'm not in the age of meeting new people. I don't have to pass through that. And then they made things worse, and they're just playing. What they are doing is horrible. I know the psychological game they are playing, and they hold my stuff. They are doing all of that. I'm having difficulties because Brazil is like America, is like it's a federation, it's a states. In my state, so there's jurisdiction. I had to take action there in the capital, which is 30 kilometers away from the city where I grew up. I was born in this capital, but my father has some influence there. His company, though no one is like it's untouchable. If he's doing something very wrong, his company is not gonna pay for it unless they are able to say, look, he's doing something wrong to his son. They take him apart, and then he answers for that. But he's using influence there, then it's very difficult to get lawyers, and they are using the same. And I have to profit that. I have to be proud that I learned language. I did things. I battled hard. I battled honestly. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working. And if I'm denying sort of looking for work. I received a job offer. I think it was the end of June. It was something on a hotel. Was interesting, but I was not in the mood. Just if I go to this interview, I'm probably the person who is fit for doing for reception and receiving people, something like that. But I said, look, I'm not in the mood. There is something I have a wound that I have to treat, and you got like I use a metaphor because I hope I don't have like if I have cancer, I don't go for the metastasis. That person is causing problems a long time for me. I just closed my eyes for just turn the blind eye, and now it's just like just wait. I want my life stop, then I'm sure she needs to be stopped, and I just need to these things reversed. And I'm gonna probably, if either it's job, I'm probably find a job easy. I need just to become come to terms and in good terms, and like redemption, like with my managers, to see what happened. Before I wouldn't be worried about like financial compensation. I think now it's too much, the price I'm paying. So, but if it confirms, depends on what she says. If she give them away in Brazil, it's enough. It suffices, because the compensation I'm having from them, then it's better. We can make a deal here. So that's not a problem, because whether she shouldn't pay from her pockets, would be the company who would pay. And of course they're gonna try to avoid this because it could be massive. And then, but that's I'm struggling, of course. Say I deserve it, and then I get it. But with her, if I just come there, she says, okay, I did a mistake with Hurton, we're just gonna talk, and then it stops this thing, and it just we came into peace. Hurton was saying is right, and I was working like 4 years, 3 years with her. And then the right to not right people, but
the people who deserve to be blamed, the guilty people, they're gonna be caught. And that's one of the, when I had dreams, good dreams were best dreams I had. They're caught, you know. It's found out publicly, because it doesn't help like to be like secret. No public, they have public shame, and then they got public shame. That's one of my best dreams I had is so long. Then there is recognition. Then they are at least morally they're ruined. They're not gonna be financially. I wouldn't do what my sister is doing. My sister doesn't care. Okay, you're just gonna have your house there. You will buy what you want. You're gonna die if you don't want to work for the rest of your life. Just live your life. But she doesn't care. If if I die, if I have to go there and work for her, or just I'm die of hunger and never worked. I would have to be more cruel, but just the humiliation she's gonna have and the them are gonna have, and that suffices. I think her mother, would say, quote, my mother for me, in my opinion, as I learned, is someone who breeds, who brings up the child, or then she needs that one. It doesn't matter if I don't know if she's 74, she's 75. She needs to go to jail because it has been this all my life. And this younger sister who doesn't work, I think so. She should answer like a criminal. And the other one, because she's pretending. I think she lives in Australia, so it would be difficult. But as she plays a role, who needs treatment needs her, because she has her tongue goes and I get fired as well. The whole tongue goes to medical treatment. It's just like it's Munchausen syndrome by proxy, like in its ipsis literis, and just saying, just it's because of that I got fired, because you don't stop and go yourself. She's still smoking weed. She used to smoke weed when I arrived in England. Things we do like as a kid. She was smoking weed at 31 years old. She had a daughter. She had kicked in the ass. She was kicked in the ass by her husband. Both of them, both of my sisters. And then she okay, go and do whatever. I don't know what kind. She goes to one specific kind of church, and I'm not against churches. On the opposite, but she just goes to one kind. It's just like my football club, and just like saying, you're gonna support my football club now, otherwise I don't speak to you, you'll die. You don't give you a glass of water. And she's playing this kind of, she's just, and her mother is more sane than the virgin. That's my nice neighborhood playing his video games. If you hear the noises, it's him breaking things. But she makes like both of them, like she's just like sick. Like her mother is just like more and is an angel more than Virgin Mary, just like. And she just saying, oh, you just follow the steps of Jesus. And if I do that, it's heresy, because it's just like, okay, you want me to be the new Messiah, just like the church is gonna want me to be crucified. I was like already betrayed. There's people washing their hands, and then you just accept what they do to me. Then it's okay. Then the police, the lawyers, the writers, they don't need work anymore. They don't have to work anymore, and everything. Just don't come with that to me. Just don't come. She's just like playing, okay, just like it's just like rhetorical for me that studied communication science. Even with like people from, there's one sect of the church, I don't like to name them because there's universities that are linked to it. But my boss was a priest, and he didn't look like, because you're doing like scientific stuff. You don't care. One of the research was about different churches and religions, communication policies and stuff like that. And he doesn't mix up things. It's just like she's just doing things. One thing is like just to manipulate, and just like don't come with that. If you love your brother and just you don't even believe in things, you're just, if first thing you would call me, and then it's for free. You pass a message to people I know here. You say with like a copy, like an open copy. It don't need to be a hidden copy. You can open copy preferably. And to my manager, say, no, I'm not gonna do that. Then it just like takes 1 minute 30 seconds for you to do that. The 30 minutes. No, I'm not gonna do that. They're happy. They're just like, it's just a way of putting a hook in your mouth and saying no, no, no. Now, because then they know, and this sister is greedy. Both of them are greedy. they're greedy, then we fight with them. And then if I let it happen, they keep controlling all my life, and the guy is having his crisis here. If I don't know if you listen, but if this is kind of stuff that I was trying to tell my sister, that I was threatened by like my colleague, if I tell my sister, she's gonna say, "Oh, you were paranoid. Your neighbor, that people don't play video games in the world." Oh, you hear that? So if I tell my sister before, she's like, Ayrton is paranoid. He thinks he has a neighbor that he breaks everything, and he needs treatment. I just what the she doesn't know how to catch a bus. And then because of it, because she said of this, because my colleague didn't do anything, everything was good, I got like destroyed at work, because it's easy for her to say that, and there is no money and everything's passing Usefruct, and this is just forget about the money of our grandfathers, that the things are not, and that everything. And then she comes to play with me and a girl who never graduated, and they're just like, that's prison, that's charlatanism, and that's that's gypsy stuff. Sorry about that. There is the good gypsies that I know the culture, but there is gypsy in a bad way, that is just like it's a scammer. It's just like she's doing. This is like and it's things that is there are names for it in English, but she should go to jail, treat herself. But that's not, it's not even that it's a mind disease. She's just being clever, she knows she's gonna pretend. In the worst case, she's gonna pretend she has an illness. She's just being clever as uh, a clever cow, as they say in English. And I'm aware of that. That's the most important. Anyway, it's finished for that. I just gonna hear this noise. Maybe it sometimes lasts for 30 minutes and more, and then I have to cope with that. While that she's by the swimming pool, she doesn't need to worry about paying rent. She'll drink her coconut water and just, oh, my brother has problems. Well, it's so easy to her. Just like it's case for the police, but I need help from like international media, international people, and when they get started, it's how horrible she did, and then I will get some help and here, and I would like to have see some friends that are dear to me. It doesn't matter here. There are people who are dear to me, and I lost contact. Explain to my advisor, and it's just like it happens. And then if I gonna apply for either courses, formation, or job, they're gonna check out if it's a good company. They're gonna check out. They're gonna cross reference, and then, and even if they don't do it, they say, oh, it's in your head. Yes, it's in my head, because why I should keep like something that, like in England, it's okay. Like I gave my notes and I quit. And why should I keep like something that I worked for years, and just like in I haven't done. Why should I keep like a blame, and then they get away with that. Like my sisters, she came with an argument. It's worse than with those of Schopenhauer's, like how it's called his book. I don't know in English. I know in Portuguese and in French, but it's how to win a debate. Um, how to always win a debate something without having reason, without reason, something like that. And she comes with that. She said, hurt on everything you said, you defend everything you said, like everything you said, you're right. I'm not saying that, but I'm not going to say that everything I'm wrong and everything she's right. It just comes with this kind of arguments and other things. Oh, the girl you liked, you were obsessed by her. No, I like my football club and I like the girl, and I'm talking about her. I'm gonna be talking about someone that I hate. I'm gonna be talking about about another sport. The sport that I don't hate or I don't like, or another football club. It's just like, of course. And then, oh, and then she judges things. Oh, how is your life? And she's, oh, but you never had anything else. Of course, I was working with this girl, and she knew about that. And you had a sex with your boyfriend, and you had a daughter. You are single, and so what do you understand about relationships? And then you don't talk about anyone. Then you are there. You are just crying out because you are single, and just judging. Oh, but you have problems. Okay, so I just subscribe here to Montpellier Psychologist course. There's a university here, and I know already Freud's line of thought, which is linked to Jacques Lacan, and I know Carl Gustav Jung. I know
It's where Scan David Kahneman and Jonathan Haidt once a new one by Cyril Nick. I know many guys of that. I read these guys. Marshall McLuhan as a psychologist. I think Hegel, he studied many things. One of the things is sort of psychology and stuff, and many stuff like that. But my sister, she doesn't know half of it, and just like, oh, okay, so I judge now my sister. She's dead and she's dead, and just profiting from it. Just like if I was working for a big journalist, just say, and even more lying. I just say my sister, she's a drug dealer, or she's dead, or she's a prostitute, which I don't doubt she is. It's just kind of she sold my niece's mistreatments to her mother, and she sold her brother's life, and but anything against nothing against the prostitutes, because there's always everywhere, and they go to where I worked and buy stuff. And but in the worst case is the disguised one. Okay, and then they just put like just defame her and just say things that never happened, that she just like, I don't know, she betrayed and her husband, she did that, and they ruin her life. And I just, oh, I did psychology and I have some problems. Then there's someone that who is there who's harassing her, who is, I don't know, who broke her car, and just, oh, that's all in her head, that's all because you deserved. And the other one comes, oh, that's good because God deserved that your car was broken. So you there don't have no need for police, then people can do everything in the name of, in the name of God. Like there's a YouTube song, and they just called and are just like, the sister come, oh no, there is no, I'm with your stuff, but it's everything it's in your head, I'm not going to speak to you anymore, and just leave her wherever she's living. And she made her life there 10 years, I don't know, let's say if she's living in French or in America or in Mexico or in in Paraguay or whatever, and I say just, oh, you just stay there and they just don't bother me, and they stay with her stuff, and they stay with just like my father, he abused her, and you say, no, your father is a great guy, and oh, he abused me, I'm not gonna speak to her. No, there is no, not gonna speak to him, and he just passed me. Okay, Ayrton, he just said she's crazy because she's accusing me, and okay, I say she's crazy, and I get like all the money from him, and it's passing everything, and it's just what I would be like, would be an asshole. It should be in jail, be one of, I don't know, the the words in English for that. Just I have to look it up. That's it for now. Thanks.